Don't worry about it. Okay. Welcome to another edition of the Bandwagon Podcast. And today is my first international podcast. So I'm quite excited. And it's somebody who I've been in contact over many years, especially when Twitter first started. He's such a top guy. DJ Reminisce. How are you today?
Hey man, thanks for having me on the show, bro. Really appreciate it. First of all, props to you for doing the podcast, because you've seen me on Twitter. I'm like, we need more of this stuff,
Yeah.
right? And secondly, big props to you for keeping it real on like the drugs addiction and all that stuff. I follow you, bro, so I know, that's awesome. Honestly, thank you.
Thanks, man. I mean, like, it's like yourself, Sat Man, who I've kind of who I've had on here before, because you were podcasting inadvertently without people knowing what podcasting was really in a sense, because the type of work that you were doing. So like, I'll just start on that side of stuff. Like, you've got an interest in music that's very very clear when people follow you and stuff. But how did you get involved in the podcasting side of things?
You know what? It's just me. I've always been a excuse me. I've always been a sort of proponent and a fan of the next evolution of what tech is going to do. Like, for example, I started off on turntables when DJing, and I didn't really want to go into the CD format because it wasn't comfortable for me. Like, picking up the record, putting the needle on the point's a tangible thing, and that's something when you get used to doing something for so many years. And luckily for me, technology came with the Seratos, DJ Scratch, like all these things. So I was very like I was actually on the beta of Serato 1 way back. So now that's it's a household software. So I was on it when it was absolute garbage. It was trash. Like you play the record and the music would follow like 2 seconds afterwards, sort of thing. So I've always been always trying to use technology into my gigs, into my brand, into like anything that I do. And then went from there to like when podcasting came out, it was just cool because I've been on radio, on the biggest radio. Like, you're stuck in a pigeonhole. You can't say certain things. You can only play certain types of things. So for me, it was an avenue to say what I want, whatever I want, whenever So
It gave you that freedom then, to sort of speak.
Yeah.
So, like, what could you what was the things that you wanted to say that you couldn't say?
Just about the culture, about the faux pas subjects. Like, I don't know if you've heard the podcast or like anyone's heard it, but like I get a lot of relationship questions that no one dares to ask. Like, a typical, I don't know why me. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that relationship the guru. I'm not saying that.
The dear Desi, right? The
yeah. But it's and the other thing too was Jire program like we've got a huge immigration population, right? So we're probably a couple of generations behind the UK. Like, I spent almost half my life in the UK, so I've seen both sides. Very desi here. It's very mentality is very Punjab, very dominated. So Jire program it's very, very catered towards that crowd. Like, like it's all about Punjab, it's all about India, and there's never really anything there for us that were born here. Like, the music that was played, like UK program music was hardly ever played here on radio, if that. I mean, it was me. I can honestly say this. Like, I was the one who brought UK program to the forefront here. One of the originals that kind of played in my set. So it gave me the opportunity to showcase music that no one would ever listen to, and that created my brand. Like, I would get booked for the stuff that I play, not necessarily just a wedding DJ per se. So, for me, it's the ability to give people stuff besides the norm, whether it's music, chat, industry news, because I'm a big industry guy. I like talking about, new things, new technology. So that's what it was, man. Just give me the opportunity to voice my thoughts.
So dropping back, you talked about that you were living in the UK. What was that journey like then? So where were you based and where are you based now?
I was originally in Southall, uh, living with my nana naniji, and then from there, like this was a course over half my life. Like I was there. I was there. It's weird. I was there in primary school. Then we came back. Went to high school there. Then I came back. Came back for college. Then I came back. Just I wasn't able to settle because you know how it is. Like when you're away from your family, you don't really get that real support. Not a shot against my family in the UK, but it's just different. You know what I mean? So eventually, I just ran out of money. I came back to Vancouver. So, but I have to admit, being in that heart, like this was like when the bands were there, like the DJ started popping off, the club gigs. I was in Hounslow at the time, living there with my mama G.
What year was that?
And that was I came back in '97. So I was there from like the late '80s to like right in the heart of the '90s,
Yeah.
right when that big music popped. So it was fantastic being in that environment at the time because it was phenomenal, bro. You know as it is. It was unreal. Going to the music shops, going through the crates, lining up for the new Hira album, which is gonna come out in 2 days. Oh, Paji, Agi halle? Nahi, 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 nahi. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
awesome.
That because
Yeah.
that was more of it. Like you hear it before, like as people kind of reminisce, so to speak,
Yeah.
of the actual experience of kind of to purchase music or look at
Yeah.
or listen to music was an experience really thing. You had to. I was talking about this about albums, how it's an actual experience to like you put time aside to listen to things. Now is obviously consumerism. We'll get there eventually, but like how did you then adapt your need that you were getting in the UK? You go back to Vancouver, and there's got to be a void in your life.
It was hard, bro. Like when I came back, I don't really talk about this, but it was pretty depressing because I came back from probably one of the greatest eras of Punjabi music. The culture was vibrant, the food was vibrant. You know what I mean? Like Southall Broadway was, Friday night was wicked. You go to Soho Road or whatever, right? Like the culture was thriving. I came back and it was like straight coming back to the pind. And that like there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not me per se. Like I'm born and bred in Canada in this country. So I wanted that culture to thrive for me. So I did everything in my power to do whatever I could to find like-minded people like myself and give them what they want. Hence the music that I DJ'd. Like I was straight like UK bangers, urban dissy. Like like the stuff that I played at weddings. Like most DJs would like. I remember DJing at reception. Like you're gonna play this song. You're like, you're really gonna play this? I was like, yeah. Like the Nukia, right? You know what I mean? It was hard, man. It was
So you were
hard
getting
because
you were getting vilified because you were
yeah,
playing UK stuff
yeah,
rather than that.
yeah. I
So
mean, a lot of
what
people
would they
maybe
be
don't know
playing
this.
then? So what? Because
Straight dissy, like straight dissy records. Like
yeah,
like
I get
I'm
what you mean.
talking, you know, and then you play like they considered UK music remix. That's
Right.
what they thought of UK Punjabi music was remix, right? Oh, tu ਐਵੇਂ remix ਤੇ gana ਲਾਈ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਤੂੰ ਹੀ, right? It's like just shut up and dance. It's not like you paid for a ticket for the event. You know what I mean? Like just
Have your
Tanukia.
free booze. Piss off.
Yeah, exactly. So it was hard, but I never gave up and I never gave in. That's one thing about me is if I have that will, I ain't gonna stop. So it took probably a good 3-4 years, but on top of that too, we were lucky because we had acts like Bally Sagoo who crossed over, right? Taking some of those traditional records, making them big, and then I was also involved in bringing some of those acts over. So I did whatever I could in my power to kind of bring
Right.
that flavor of music to Canada, North America. And I can also say we were successful. Well, I was for myself. Like, it wasn't about monetary gains or what I made in DJing. It was the fact that, I was slowly changing the music culture for, like I said, like-minded people like myself because we never had anything, you know?
How long do you reckon that process took then from when you've come into that void and then
Um,
slowly the UK vibe, for example, was
it
being
was
accepted?
it was two defining moments. It was when Bally Sagoo released Wham Bam, and then I was in England at the time, and I brought back 5 cassettes. And I remember I used to work at a video store, Rana Video. So I've done everything, bro. And it's funny, like my dad had the very first video store probably in North America, way back on Main Street, called the Video Shop.
Right.
So I come from a musical sort of that side of things. So I brought these cassettes back, and people lost their goddamn minds, man, when I played that Wham Bam Mega Mix. And lucky for me, I was playing football at the time for a team, up on a team, and the goalkeeper. So I still remember Suki Sandhu. He was originally from England. He goes, "Bro, what do you think if we bring Bally down for a gig?" I go, "Yeah, I mean, I tell you now, like it's probably one of the most requested songs I get right now." So that was probably a year before that came out. So he came out, smashed it, and we brought Bally down. Holy bro, it was unbelievable. Still remember our Butis Hall. I was on before him. Oh, sorry, at 86th Street Music Hall is a nightclub. It's closed now. It's a casino now. I'm on before this guy, and I'm playing like this. Remember, I'm a hip hop DJ at this time still, right? Mainly hip hop. So I'm playing hip hop, and this guy comes on stage. He's got Punjabi vinyls, and he's like mixing Punjabi with hip hop, and I lost my mind. I was like, "Holy shit!" Sorry, pardon my French.
No, that's all right.
I was like, I'm like, "What is this?" Like he was unbelievable. Like as a DJ for me, like I've seen some of the best DJs in the world, Jazzy Jeff. I've seen DJ Premier. I've seen them all. Right, I've done shows with them, but when he came on, took Punjabi music and mixed it with something that I love, like hip hop, it was game over. That same day, I was phoning all my cousins in England. Week later, I flew back to England, bought as many vinyls as I could, brought them all back. That was it. He was the one who changed the game in Vancouver at the time, and that's when it blew up. And then the second time is when there's a Ravi Video Music Waves. We're doing like big shows. I'm talking Shakti, Pradesi, Aparna Sangeet, like 4 or 5 big bands like they did in like like in
coming
the
over
UK.
the tours,
the tours, coming over the tours. So
and then what were you doing then? Were you a part of that setup as they were coming over, or you were just a fan, or just an actor?
I was mainly on the production side. So like I started off as an AV guy, like doing sound and tech. And that's kind of like my sort of hidden forte. I still do that now once in a while for like big shows. Like I get called from some of my friends, "Hey, we need a hand." I love being the front of house engineer on the boards. So I worked pretty much any big show you can think of, except for like Biljit the last few because he brings his own crew. But I was involved on that side of things. So
I've just been working out how to kind of frame this, because like you talked about, like there's a Desi sound, right? There's the India sound.
Yep.
You got the UK sound. In your interpretation, what is the Canadian sound or North America sound?
As of today?
As of today, yeah. So it's evolved from when you've been, like you've heard this now. So you're talking about your first instance. I'm trying to skip it now and say, what's the evolution of that sound? What is it? How is it defined?
It's hip hop, bro. It's hip hop based. Like we are the product of our environment. Like we all listen to hip hop. Like we grew up listening to hip hop. That's engraved in our veins. You know what I mean? So a lot of that sound is influenced from that era. Even like today, like you see some of the biggest hits from like Sidhu Moosewala and like whoever, like Deep Jandu, you know, they're all hip hop driven based records. And it's not good or bad. It's just the way it is. It's just what we grew up on. So we're going to make music based on what our flavor is. Prior to that, it was, you know, even like if you listen to the remixes, like I was part of a crew called Monday in Black, like way back, and we released a bunch of CDs and they smashed it, bro, like around the world. And it was all hip hop mixes on top of like, that's kind of like our flavor. Even today, hip hop's a very big influence in the music, and you hear it yourself. Like you hear some of the, you know, most of the records coming out of, you know, North America. It's very hip hop, very R&B based, like Intense, you know, Big Bird, Harj Nagar, all these producers. It's drum heavy. That's kind of our style.
Do you feel like North America is leading the way at the moment?
I think they've got their sound down. Like in terms of like, if you listen to what India's producing in the same genre, they can't compete. But you can't compete against India for the sheer, like Punjab for the sheer volume, what they do, and their, you know, like their talent and what they have. You know what I mean? So I think on a production level, in terms of quality, we have that packed down. It's just for us now, it's consistency. but you can never compete with Punjab. So do I think we have the best music coming out at the moment? I do. But at the end of the day, India still smashes us in terms of everything else, like quantity, quality. But it's like we come out with brilliance in small bursts. Like, you know what I mean? And I find it's not an acquired taste. Like it's, you know, like you hear, like, for example, like the new Diljit album, right? I personally think it's a brilliant album for what he did, for what he was trying to achieve. But purists may think different because it didn't sound like whatever. You know what I mean? But for this moment in time,
I think just like an artist like that, I think where people, I think they've earned the right to kind of experiment. You know, if you look at a lot of acts, you always have the argument, like U2, for example. Some of their best stuff was their early stuff. Like a lot of artists, some of their best stuff was the early, because it was new to, it's fresh. It was that the sound is fresh. But I think you get to a stage where people can have the right to kind of experiment. I think it's a great. I think it's a good album. You know, it's in there. It's not one that I'm going to listen to every day, but I still find myself singing vibe, you know, around the house, or I'm hearing it. You know, it's just one of those things, and that is the whole point of that kind of sound.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a snapshot, say, of this point in time, like today, that is the best album you've got to date for what we are offered today in 2021. You know what I mean? But is that sound, like, after this year, what's going to happen? Like, who knows? Right? Like, he didn't go for something evergreen, like a, you know, like a Sujit Bindrakia, like Yar Boda, like evergreen records. First of all, they're rare. And second of all, you can't touch traditional Punjabi folk music. You know what I mean? Like, it's always going to be evergreen. So, you know, I think when we talk about music, there's always a purpose. There's always a point, and there's always, you know, some sort of.
But that also goes back to your own individual bias, isn't it? Because if your preference is that one way, you're gonna always go back to it. So, like, for example, like Punjab BMC was like my first. I talk about this like quite often. When I first heard 100% Proof, I was like, "What is this?" I didn't even know. I didn't know how to explain it. I just went on a quest to find out what that album was. And I was at like a Gato Gar Restedar's house where I heard it.
Yeah.
And I was like finding different ways of how to steal this tape. And then until I found, like, he goes, "Oh, this is what it was." And that was when I bought, I think that's the only record like I bought loads and loads of times. It's just unbelievable. But that bias has been that connection that I had when I first heard it has influenced the way that what the tracks that I hear now. Because like some things where people put it out, just like, that's not my taste, and I just put that down to age.
It is, man, because, you know, look, at the end of the day, they don't, like, I don't know how old you are, bro. Like, I'm gonna be 47 in a year, right? So they stop making. Year. Okay, so they stopped making music for us like 15, 20 years ago. Really, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, none, you know, like Punjabi MC will have a, you know, song here and there, but really at the end of the day, it's not about us anymore. We're not the buying power either. You know, and like it's just like it's like our, like, and I say this all the time, like, we don't listen to our parents' music. You know what I mean? There's that shift. Like, you know, sure, our kids might, you know, then the crossover, like my older one's 16, she'll listen to some stuff, like she likes, you know, but most of the stuff she doesn't listen to because she's got her own taste, because it's shifted. It's just the way it is.
During lockdown, I played. We were driving around everywhere, and I started playing. So my son, he's 4. He'll be 5 soon, but he's 4 at the time, and I played him the original Malkit Nachigid Devich. You know, Gornal Ishq Matan.
Yeah.
And I put it on for me because I thought they were asleep in the car. You know, as kids are. And then all I see him in the back was that he was tapping and he's go, ho ho, hi. And I was like, he was doing, you know, like when you see, he was doing what I was doing 35 years earlier. And I was like going, you know, that's when you know that track is a fucking good track.
yeah, 100%, bro. I and that's the funny thing. It's like, because, and you hit the nail on the head, and I say this to everybody else, like, music is a vibe, right? It there's those records that hit your soul no matter how old they are. Like, Dad will play some Purane Geet, but then like black and white film, and I'll be like, damn, man, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's so true, and it's phenomenal, that feeling. Like it's like when you DJ, you play that one record. People are nudging, tapping, they're going, and you play that one song, and they all scream because you hear that one song.
But how rare is it? Because that track was like, I think it's about 11, 12 minutes. I could be wrong. And
Yeah.
now some of the tracks are like fucking 2 minutes. Like,
I
you're just
know.
like, you're like,
Yeah. Attention span.
yeah, I was just like, oh man, you have to keep putting it on again. I don't know whether that's a clever way of basically building up streams that you put it on repeat
Man,
again.
I was watching a Manny Sandhu interview, which is brilliant. I wanted to ask. I was hoping to ask you a question. Why are your songs so short, bro? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of his music, and like one of my favorite songs from him right now is "Schedule." Like that's on repeat. I listen to probably 3-4 times a day.
Yeah.
Right, but ਜਦੋਂ ਮੁੱਕਦਾ ਗਾਣਾ, like, God damn, I gotta go back and So it's. I mean, that's a good thing too, and about like it's one of those things, right? It's a good thing, and
I think it's just reflecting what the mainstream are doing in terms of like length of time, radio play, all these kind, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
There was an article that I was reading that it was down to like the more a shorter song, the chances of the person putting it back on again increased. Therefore, the streams and all of it, and I was like,
yeah. It's like 3 minutes and 30 seconds or something.
Yeah,
I think I read the same article.
2:15. That top notch gumbo, and I always felt I needed 2 more verses, man. This song is class, and you're just like going, and then you're like, oh man,
it's over.
Yeah, I'll put it on again. I'll put it on again. So I'll fall for the same trick, man. I'll fall for it as well. So whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it is mad. So like some of the artists that you kind of work with in there, how like one of the things that you do is around doing these reviews. Now, I just want to go a little bit back. So when Brown Twitter first started, I know you were kind of very vocal and active of doing these things. So what happened? Because all of a sudden it just went away.
Well, it was a combination of two things, right? Like, so the problem with our industry is, it's like there's no one keeping people in check. Like we've gone through without really any repercussions of anything, really, So my thought process is like within industry, you need checks and balances, and you need conversation. Like the biggest problem with our culture is there's not enough conversation around anything. Like you do your part about drugs and addiction, but really at the end of the day, there's no like, you know what I mean? I think you kind of get what I'm saying, right? Like,
what you mean, like in terms of somebody challenging my thoughts and my viewpoints or something?
That too, but just like there's no like complex magazine for music, something that talks about music and culture. Like I'm not talking like a lot of these websites are just, here you go, namagana agya, right?
So are you talking about like validation, or is there
validation? Just talk about stuff, get issues out, like usually it's just like, okay, post an article and done, and then that's it. There's no like not kind of like how we're having a discussion now, like you and me. We need more of that. See, the problem is people get hung up on my review, right? And I do them not because the review is important. Like what I say really has zero bearing on your life. Really, at the end of the day, like I might have some clout. I don't know. It's hard to say. I doubt it. But the conversation around what I say is more important. Like if I don't like a song because of some lyrical content, that's more important than what my score was on the song. You know what I mean? Like if I don't like your video because you're showing guns and shit, that's more important than what I actually had to say about the song. You know what I mean?
So what? I'm trying to jump in as well at the same time because I really want to dial in this. What you're saying. Yep. So was it because that you're one of the only ones who were doing it that format that you were kind of?
Yeah. So like a lot of stuff that you see on YouTube is basically they're watching a video and they're kind of reacting to it, but they weren't really going into depth of what the song is, what's it about. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm the expert. I'm not, right? I'm just giving you my thoughts on that particular song on that day of how I feel, right? Like, and I try to be objective as I can, but there's always gonna be a little bit of bias. It's just human nature.
Yeah.
So my point was like, like I'll give you an example. I'll tell you why I got chucked out, whatever. I was doing, I did a review of Diljit's songs, a few of them, right? And Diljit he's a superstar, bro. He's the biggest artist in our culture for a long time, for the longest time, for what he is. So I did a review on Lamborghini, which is a big song for him, but it sounded like shit. Like literally, it sounded like shit. So my review was very harsh because I'm like, as an artist of your caliber, how can you let something that bad sounding come out of your camp? Right? It's like take the biggest hip hop artist, Jay-Z, Dre. Like imagine someone like them releasing a song that was subpar, that didn't sound, it was distorted. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And people are like, well, you're an idiot. It doesn't matter. It's still a good song. I go, no, it's not. It sounds like shit, right? It's a fact. Like I can show you where it's peaking and everything. And I've had these arguments with people, and then the labels just had enough. They're like, you know what, we're putting a copyright strike against you because of blah blah blah. And then a couple more came. I think it was an Imran one I did, and then they shut me down. And then just recently, I had to negotiate. I can't really talk about because I got NDA signed. I had to negotiate with a few of these labels of what I can and cannot do. So I finally got my YouTube channel back. Yeah, yeah, it was pretty harsh. So, but I'll be honest with you, I'm on borrowed time. Like it's just like one
It's
thing
gonna
about
happen
me,
again.
yeah, because I've never ever let anyone in my life tell me what I can and cannot say.
But
That's
was
why I
that
quit radio.
okay?
So,
So was that because of YouTube, or are you able to just do say what you like on Spotify?
I mean, because I'm older now, I'm a bit more calmer. So I think, it shows in my latest reviews. Like I'm a bit more, methodical of what I say. Plus,
But
going
like,
through like,
here's
but
one then. So like, what gives you the qualification? So like, I could kind of
yep,
guess what they're saying. What gives you the qualification to who are you basically to cuss this song?
I get that all the time. I'm like, look at my resume. You know what? I got 35 plus years experience being in the Punjabi music industry specifically, from everything you could think of: running shows, running gigs, running studios, producing, mixing. I've recorded every top vocalist you could think of personally, right? I've recorded in India. I've taken people in India to do shows, right? I've worked in mainstream. I'm like, prove me wrong. Like, I'm not saying this arrogantly. I'm saying it as a healthy respect for myself of what I've been able to achieve in my life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, and I'm the first one to admit when I'm wrong. Like, I've done it before. I've fucked up, and I'm
Mm.
like, okay, I'm sorry, right? But at the end of the day, you cannot just go and do whatever you want and put something out in the public forum and expect no feedback. That's logically impossible.
Do you think that's because the industry doesn't necessarily accept or
They
tolerate
don't, bro.
feedback?
No, they don't. It's and that's fine. I get it, right? It's personal to them. They spent this time, money, and effort, and you got some dick like me going and saying, this Ghana is garbage or this is that and this and that, right? But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if your kids are in sports, but like when my kid, as good as she is, and she has a bad day at skating, like it is what it is. Like everyone, not everyone's on their A game. Shit happens. But the biggest problem with our industry is you can't like then that's what I'm about checks and balances. Like how many songs have you heard? You're like, what the hell is this? Like, how did this Ghana even come out? Like, what were they thinking? Right. Then you see all the reviews, oh, can't Ghana, can't Ghana. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, yes, music is subjective. I agree, right? What I like, you may not like. But when someone's singing songs about like Tim Hortons or Starbucks, like get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things that just don't make sense. And I'm sorry, I have to call it out because it's about moving music and culture forward, and it's about having these conversations, right? Like the conversation we're having now exactly is what I love because it was that review that brought this up. Like, who do you think you are? Well, okay, well, let's talk about this then, right?
Yeah.
Like I've had conversations with, so many producers, where I've said something, and they'll message me like, well, why'd you do this? And when I'm, well, let's talk about this. Don't yell at me, right? But let's talk about it. Like I'll give you my thoughts, and usually it's a good conversation. Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying, right?
Do you think you feel you're safer that because you're in Canada?
You know what? Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I think
Yeah,
so. Like,
yeah.
I'd be probably, they got to be able to take criticism, bro. Like, it's this life, especially, if you're putting stuff out for the world to see and it's not, you know, kosher, or there's some stuff in there that's questionable, you got to be able to take some responsibility and accountability for it. I'm not saying, I'm the one supposed to do that, but at the end of the day, you can't just expect to put something out and not get any heat for it. It's just how life works. And
Yeah.
we've gone so many years where they just, we just did whatever we wanted. There was just no questions asked. And
Do you think that's harmed the culture in terms of the music?
100% it has, man. Like I said, how many songs you hear that just gets put out because some guy had money,
Mm.
subpar music.
Fake
There's
likes,
fake likes. Like,
views.
I'm not talking about, yeah, like I'm not talking about stuff like if you're independent, you put your music out and YouTube, you did it all yourself. I'm talking about major labels, like the T series, the movie boxes, or whatever, that put out such shit music all because they wanted money. I'm not saying the big six, don't do that either. They've got losses too, but at the end of the day, you know, it's 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 just it's
Do
not
you,
right or wrong. It's just like I said, you gotta question it.
do you think like North America's got it right compared to everyone else,
Um,
or they're the worst
I
culprits?
think I think at the moment in time we've gotten it right, but it took us years to get here. Because you got to remember, we made some really shitty music. I can honestly say that we made some
I
Mickey
used to
Mouse
live. I
shit.
think my first thing that I heard in North America was DJ APS.
Yeah, like his mixes were phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how we started out from that
Mm.
mixtape generation, right? But if
Mm.
you look at the music that we produced and stuff, it was Mickey Mouse shit. It's but over the years when you had like the intensives, these younger guys come up that are born and bred here, have that music in their veins, and the Harj Nagras and like prophecies, and they're making beautiful music. It was just bound to happen because we had a fresh sound. It was gangster music. You know what I mean? Like, we can say what you want about it, but it's people love that shit.
I think it's basic. I think it's somewhat easier than that. I think when it was in the 90s, people from India wanted to come to the UK, immigration, work opportunities, and all this
Yep.
kind of stuff. Now, as everything's kind of
Yep.
the market here has gone smaller, all the artists are moving over, getting dual citizenship over in North America,
Yep.
doing all this stuff. Better weather.
Yep.
It's just a combination of the sound, new opportunity. I think that's what's
Yep.
happened.
We are actually very fortunate. So the reason why Bhangra music is so strong here is because one is immigration. 100% agree with you. You hit the nail on the head. And we got a strong immigration still. Like, we are expecting like 1 million immigrants probably in the next 4 or 5 years, right?
Mm.
Then prior to that, we had a very strong Bhangra circuit, something that the UK never had. That, in my opinion, is why
What you
Bhangra
mean,
kind of
Bhangra
stalemate.
dancing?
Yeah, like a professional circuit between the universities for years here,
Mm.
across North America.
Yeah,
So Bhangra music,
We had Bhangra groups.
yes, you did.
Um,
Yeah, playing at
but
weddings and
yeah,
stuff.
but not
Yeah,
necessarily not
yeah.
the
So we
university
had, yeah,
phenomenon's been in the last sort of 10 years, 10
which
years.
is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's huge for Bhangra music, Punjabi music, especially here because we've had that circuit for
But that's
years.
turned into fitness now.
Is it? Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably here too.
No, no. So
Yeah,
like I think obviously COVID's put a scope
yeah,
on like a different
yeah,
angle on it, but you do see the Bhangra competitions, the university competitions happening. But
yeah.
I go to speak to some of the Bhangra teams, and they're not getting booked for weddings anymore. It's more like fitness classes during the week, and that's the only thing
Wow.
that's kind of sustaining them.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, Bhangra, like events and Bhangra events and weddings is still big here for, need a book entertainment. So it's
Yeah.
still big here, which is, I mean, it's great. It's great for the culture, right? Keeps moving it forward.
I think you also kind of you're limited in terms of what you just said in terms of entertainment. We got
Yep.
fucking people, acrobats,
Yeah, we got it all here too. I thought it was just a North
breathing.
American thing for Juloos like that. No, I thought it was us. I thought it was us. I'll be honest with you, because I see like on Twitter and stuff, people like, oh, look at this. Oh, it's another North American idiot, doing coming into his wedding reception on a boat or something. I'm looking at it going, oh, here we go, right?
Nah, it's all like, you know, people. It won't be too long where people having fucking fire coming out of their arse, and you know, like it's just. But you know, fair play. People
Fair
are
play.
expert, whatever it is, whatever. But like, it is entertainment. If people were booking and say Bhangra team was that was the thing. You know, it did dominate a lot of weddings for a long time. Now, with some of the setups and DJs are
crazy, man.
Phenomenal amount of money.
Yeah, man. It's come a long way from like, you know, having like the ek bottle of shrab and the pop on the table with like the white plastic.
Is that happening? Is that happening in North America as well? As the DJ scene's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Do you miss
again? I don't want to take credit for it, but coming from the UK, we were the first to kind of emulate that sort of style because it was different. I still remember this booking. Just got my rig. This is everyone's running plasmas, you know, the TVs on the stands. Yeah. I had 250-inch and I had the big screen on the back as my background. So I never had a backdrop. I used to use my screen as a background. No one done that here in North America. I remember walking in, setting up. There's a doctor who paid me for this. I still remember. And there's like, you know, like other, you know, DJs come party there on there. Like, what is this? Like, why would you want to spend the money on this? Blah, blah. It's just, you know, just typical. Like, why? What, a year later, everyone's doing the same thing? You know, it's crazy because people go overseas. They see pictures, Instagram, all this Snapchat. It's like, okay, I want that, you know, and then it is what it is. And power to him, man, because ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ DJ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ, bro, it was a hobby, right? But now people are making 7 figures here. It's crazy. Like we can laugh all we want, but the economy the wedding industry has created for us opponent is brilliant. Power to them. Like makeup artists getting like $4,000 or $5,000 for makeup on some miserable bride. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You know what I mean? Pug you come with tire pug charging like whatever $500-600. I think it's fantastic. Right? I mean, does it make us lazy? No, I don't know. Like it's, you know, two sides of the story, but
you know, a lot of it's like first world problems, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just.
I mean, I think it's over the top. I think, you know, like that sort of. We're starting to lose the soul of what a wedding is. But I don't know if that's right or wrong, but we grew up in a different generation, right? So people are, you're just old, right? Yeah, we are.
See, you know, I feel like I'm a little bit older in that kind of side because I still feel young. I still have a connection to a lot of younger my cousins and stuff and that.
Yeah.
And then I've seen some of the. I was part of the industry. I've left it now. I don't get involved in any of that side of it as well. And and from the experience of what I've seen, you know, people are making. You know, sometimes I was sitting there. I was like, I'm busting 40 hours a week. Got my set amount. I've seen these guys and what they do, and the money is just like, fuck. Yeah. But they work hard. People are working hard. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
And it
dealing
comes
with people,
and it comes with sacrifice. I think people dealing with people during and after COVID and lockdowns, they've turned horrible. They
next level.
Yeah, they demand stuff like they're like, I want this, I need this, and all. And I thought that's when for me, I had to say, look, I'm out. I can't be dealing with it. I help do all this, but what you're asking for and what your expectations are and what your attitudes, your mannerisms, and then you're saying I'm spending time away. You spend time away from family and all of these kind of. It's just like, what's it with? That's what it comes down to in terms of value.
It does, man. Because I remember I never went on vacation in the summers ever. It's peak season.
So how long were you doing that circuit over there then?
I stopped doing Punjabi weddings. I stopped about 5 years ago.
Why?
I just couldn't start dealing with. I couldn't deal with them anymore, man. Like up in here, a different breed. They all think they're gangsters here, right? So it's like just dealing with the mentality. Just, you know, I'm older too. I'm crabby.
And you're one of those guys who is always, you know, you're always careful with what you say.
Yeah, that's the other problem, right? And it's just it's galti bhi meri hai because I'm the guy. Like, you've booked me, let me do what I want, right? Like, you don't tell me what to play or what to say. That's not why you booked me. Book somebody else. Like, I never took requests. It's in my contract. like I'll take them, but I don't encourage it, right? Like, especially someone's gonna come up and say, "Hey, man, can you play some stupid, dumb song?" I'm not gonna play that. Like, I never played gangster music at parties. Never. I refuse to play it. Right? It's not the place or the time for it. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. So hey, man, can you play like Tupac? Blah blah blah. Like, get out of here, man. Like, why would I want to play that here? Right? It's a family event. What do you want to just go up there and like show your hands in the air like your guns and shit? Like, get out of here. So
And you
just
lot
got to
actually
the point.
have guns there as well. Innit?
Oh, bro, I could tell you stories. That's a topic. That's another podcast for another day.
Just give us one.
Bro, I've had everything. I've had gats pulled out on me.
What, because
Yeah,
you
I've
never
had
played yardball?
yeah. What didn't I play? I think it was California Love.
So a guy goes to you, play me California Love.
He goes, play California Love. I go, no problem. Give me 2 minutes. Right. And he's standing, he goes, you're gonna play it, right? Pulls his jacket and he's got a gat right there. Right? 9 mil. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play it, right? Don't worry about it. Now I've been DJing in clubs and stuff, so I've dealt with this shit my whole life. I've dealt with name it.
We don't see that here.
Yeah, you don't see that. Like, I've dealt with this my whole career. I'm talking, you name the biggest gangsters you can think of, I've dealt with them all, right? In the club sort of atmosphere. I'm like, yeah, don't worry, I got you. I go, I can't cut this song right now, can I? It's like, yeah, okay, just play. Right? Played it. Then he comes back, pulls it out. It's like, man, thanks. You're lucky you did play it. I was gonna blow out. I'm like, really?
So,
I go,
so he pulled a gun out at the wedding in front of other people.
He wanted to show me his piece, right? That awkward, right? I'm like, he's like showing it, hanging it to me, like, like this. I'm like, listen, man, I said to him, well, now you pulled it out. You might as well pull the trigger. Right? This is dumb shit, right? I remember, so I never ever gone to a fight ever in my career as a DJ, ever. I always got a way to get out. Like, I don't fight, bro. Like, I like everybody. I try, as much as people see me on Twitter, how vocal I am. That's just my personality, because I like to question things. That's all I want to do is question things, right? But when I'm on the stage and I'm performing, it's about professionals, it's about the people. I give them what they want. That's why they booked me. And I make sure that they're happy before they leave. You know what I mean? So the last day when I retired, the last day, bro, I get into a fight. The very last day. I think maybe all those years of Badash karke, right? I just lost my marbles. I don't know what happened. I just, I just lost it.
What you mean, like at the end of the wedding?
So I'm at this party. Yeah, it was in the middle of the party. I booked this wedding, and it was it was one of those things where it was a person that I knew, and they really wanted me to, like, they met. So it's kind of cool. Like, I've been very fortunate. Because I've done club events. Like, I play make baby music when I play, right? When I play in the clubs, I want people to connect. So
what's it called?
Like making baby music.
Oh, all right, make it.
Yeah. Good records, like party records.
Okay,
so
okay.
I like, and we used to do the last Thursday of the month called High Society, Punjabi gigs in downtown Vancouver for 10 years. We used to have the best night ever. 10 years, sold out. Number one complaint was not enough guys. Right. Number two, seriously, not enough guys. And number two, we never had one fight in 10 years. And this is in Vancouver, bro, where gangsters, like, we never let anyone bad in. We screened at the door, right? So people would come, mingle, have fun, go home safely. We ran that for 10 years. And out of that, from the music that I played, people would connect, boys, girls, whatever. Mm-hmm. So a few times I've like, hey, we met
dating at the same time.
Speed dating at the time, right? So a few of those couples be like, hey, we want to book you for a wedding. We actually met at your gig. So this is how I started getting really deep into weddings, is because people would book me for my club events. And I'm like, that's fine, but I'm not playing wedding music. Like, if you're booking me, you're going to get a freaking party. Like, I'm going to play 200 songs in one night. You're going to get the best music of your life. You're just going to keep on dancing. Like, I'm verse in, verse out, cut. Next song, verse in, verse out, cut. Except for the classics, like Yar Bola and stuff. Like
that's one. Sorry, I'll get back to your story in a second. But that's one thing we did. I went to Canada a few years ago. I was actually at downtown Central, and there was a wedding, and like the DJ was like booked from like 5 in the evening to like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, wow,
that's a long.
I was like, what the fuck are you gonna keep playing? You know what I mean? There's like, made no difference. Like, it's like a standard thing, like a 9-hour contract, 6-7 hour contract.
Not me, man. I'm done by 12.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
These two.
Yeah. So they're like, okay. I'm like, fine, I'll book it. And then, I'm doing this. So this couple booked me for this party. And they're telling me, like, just want to let you know, like, both sides don't really agree on this. I'm like, okay. So I had that gut feeling. But I'm like, Bachare, they wanted to book me, specifically me, because they like, right? Bro, the whole night was just brutal. The whole night was just pange. Like the guy side wouldn't bring the booze in, the girl side's yelling at the guy side, right? And then she gave me a specific list. She goes, you can play everything you want, just don't play one particular song. It was Imran Khan. I can't remember which one it was, right? Don't play one song. She goes, I've heard it so many times, I hate it. So what happens? The guy side comes up, goes, can you play the song? I go, bro, I can't. I go, I'd love to, but she specifically said, not to play the song. Then the guy's like, well, I'm paying you the bill, so you're gonna pay it, right? I go, what'd you say? Like, I don't take shit like that. I'm like, I don't know who you are, but I don't work for you, right? Like, even if I did, if you said that to me, here's your money back, go fuck yourself, right? Like, it's just, like tarika honda bolne mein, right? That my biggest problem was like over the years of DJing, I've had to educate people on how to speak, dealing with dissies, right? So the guy goes back, calls his dad up, right? So now I've got the son and the dad, right, on my stage. One guy's got me here. The other one's about to like, I'm trained in martial arts and whatever. So, I'm calm, right? So he tries to swing at me. I move. I push the dad off the stage. He falls, right? And then my buddy behind me comes and whacks the other kid. So I didn't really hit anyone. I was just like self-defense mode, right? All hell broke loose. I turned off the music. Wedding going on. I turned off the music, get on the mic, and I remember my exact words. I'm like, get these two motherfuckers off this stage or I'm going home. Shut the music off. I go, and the security, the nice thing about like being there, like the halls take care of you and like the security knows, right? Because they deal with this bullshit every weekend. I'm like, turn the lights on and lock the doors. I go, these guys want to rock? Let's rock. Right? So they lock the door, security's behind me. I go, all right, I'll do one. Right? And then, obviously we weren't going to do anything. It was just show of like, show the presence. And I pulled the family side. I go, look, I'm not going anywhere, but like I can't work while you've got this guy harassing me. Like, here's the thing though, bro. Like, because you deal with addictions and drugs, so you kind of have this thing with people's mentality. Like I just find it really stupid that you gotta go out and try to hurt someone because they didn't play your song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And that's the kind of shit that us DJs have to deal with. Probably there too in the UK. I'm sure you've had it as well. Someone's getting okab because he didn't play their song on time. Like, it's just like over the years we've been taken not as like as an entertainment, but we've taken liberty. Like we're their slave. Like we're their jukebox.
I just think is when you try and look at it in a factual point of view, you've got a wedding, a heightened stress mode for the amount of people who are there, family, people who've got invested interest in that, yeah. And then you've got booze mixed into it. Like they wouldn't act like that the next day. So you've always got to have that in the back of your head to say this is abnormal behavior of the majority. And so what you have to be is to turn around and say, right, is trying to remember that as be as calm and calm as collected as you like. But with Apane, sometimes they just take it, like, and the other truth about it is that there's, I bang on about this quite a lot. You've got this big coke scene now, especially within the
it's ridiculous,
the culture, and that's made it a lot worse. I mean, a lot worse, especially
it's
after
bad.
lockdown. You see people and they've just revved up on it, and it's just like I said it before, and I'll say it again. We are probably 5 to 10 years away from people dying on a stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's
at a wedding. Because it is a ridiculous. It is ridiculous. We promote as a culture binge eating, binge drinking.
Yeah.
For 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And this is the first of the generations that have happened that we've never had a track record. We probably had a track record of back in the day in the 80s, let's say, with someone probably doing fags. Yeah. Then the 90s is where Buddha came in. A bit of weed, whatever, and booze. But now you've got people who've been doing coke for like 20 years. This has never been done. We're in uncharted territory from a health point of view.
Yeah.
I don't care what people's choices are. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to make informed choices, but what we're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years, you'll start seeing premature deaths happening a lot more.
These are the fucking discussions that we need, bro. Props to you, man. I'm serious. This is what we need. Like, this is the first time I've heard this from anybody. Like, I've heard you say before.
Yeah.
But like actually having a conversation with someone that understands, and you like I've seen like, and the part that kills me the most is like there's no sharm about it. Like I'm talking grooms in there, like, yo, man, snorting cocaine and stuff, like it's gangster shit.
Mm.
That's what really kills me. And that's why I stopped doing weddings, is because I was, when we grew up, I don't really talk about this. Like we grew up in like I can honestly say like the projects when we lost everything. Something I don't like bringing up because it's unnecessary, right? Like we grew up in a very harsh environment. My dad, my sisters, and I saw everything, bro. Like you name it. I'm talking like real gangs and like real shit just to survive. So when operating talk about they're from the hood, no, they're not.
Mm.
They're not. Like, you know what I mean? And then I grew up DJing just so I can go to school. And I grew up working for, these guys. Like, who owns the entertainment industry? They're not Siddhe Sadhe Bande, bro.
Yeah.
It's a dirty world, right? I grew up very fortunate. I had a good head on my shoulder. I wanted to study. I never got involved in drugs or anything like that. I did my thing, got paid. I saw some shit, never ratted. I went home and I went to school, right? So I saw that growing up, and I got to the point where, you know, everyone's got their business, everyone does their thing. I don't care as long as you don't affect my life. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But when you have the community doing it like a sport, like it's an ego thing, it's fucking disgusting. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I feel sad. Like I'm going into the washroom to, do my thing, and there's like the groom and his groomsmen like on the counter, like lining up. And I'm going, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Like it's sad, bro. It's a sad reality. It's
Like
you know,
I come from a weird place, which is just like if they're gonna do it, it's fine, but just don't do like an idiot kind of thing. But I have this internal clash of basically saying I'm absolutely tired of hearing myself talk about the same shit all the time. And then I did stop for it. I burnt out, I stopped doing it for a bit. And because you're always thinking that if you took a break, maybe you're seeing it differently. But when you come back and you see it and it's worse, and you prove yourself right, because it's like, what the hell am I doing? Like I could put out a bullshit tweet and it gets X amount of likes or whatever. When there's something valid, educational, it's like tumbleweed. Something really, really valuable or to learn. It just gets blanked.
yep,
And some of the harshest truths out there are like, I'm not doing it out of my thing. Like, look, I like a good drink. Yeah, I'll probably session once a month. But I know my limits.
yep,
With some of the behaviors and people and the patterns that I see, that's not there. You got people doing it in their breaks at work. You got people like I know one guy, yeah, who will have like he basically um would have gigs on a weekend, spend time with the family on the Monday, Tuesday, but on the Wednesday start preparing for the weekend again. And because he's got in that pattern of all of his lads getting the stuff ready, loading a van, spending time away from the family, he hasn't grown up. You know
yeah.
what I mean? He's doing the whole thing again and again and again. And like he's been doing the stuff for like 20 years.
Wow.
Right.
And he survived.
Well, the thing is from the front, yeah. Inside, like he's rotting.
Yeah.
And I was like going, look, if you can't, there isn't an argument, there isn't a discussion or a debate like when I speak to him that I haven't tried or anything from there. But the point is that that's my ego, isn't it? To say like I'm gonna come and save you. It's nothing to do with that. It's just that he can't see it, and he may never see it.
Yeah.
And then you think you will take on his baggage to try and help it away. It doesn't need it. And then you have to think about it yourself where as you get older, it goes against your own ethics of where you see people need help, you go there. And like now you're fighting back and say, man, it's not even worth it. You get emotionally invested in there, and it's a cost. It has a cost on you. There's an emotional value on you that chips away in terms of your own belief and your own morals, your ethics.
Yep, it does. And that's why between you and me, like I just got to the point where
everyone else listening.
Yeah, like I mean, that's where for me, I just got to the point where I just had enough, bro. I just didn't want to be part of the scene anymore. I love my people, I love the Punjabi culture, but in terms of what I was seeing in the environment, I had enough. I mean, that's why I moved 4 hours away from like Surrey Delta, because I didn't want to be part of that. Like you can't even go out on a patio without the fear of getting shot, because the gang violence was so bad. It's still bad. Just yesterday, some guy got shot. You know what I mean? So, and, sad to say, like, some of these people, right? Because I'm in the music entertainment industry. You just end up knowing people, everybody, right? You're guilty by association or whatever. And
that's the worst. It's just guilty by association, because you know someone. Oh, that means you're exactly like them, or you do this.
It is. Like they don't care. But they don't care. So like,
but how do when you work with these artists? Do you able up north, like in North America? Are you able to have some of these kind of conversations with them?
No, you can't, because it's a cultural thing. It's an ego thing, bro. It's just in the thing, jo ho gaya. The biggest problem, our biggest problem is ourselves. It's a cult, and I think it's a generational change. It's going to be with our kids.
Do you feel that you're close to the same decision of walking away from when you were doing DJing, from like doing your mix and mastering kind of stuff and that as well?
I mean, the DJing, yes. The mixing and mastering, now I'm very fortunate. It's all remote, so I don't really have to deal with anybody.
Yeah.
But it sucks though, because I'm so passionate about our people and our culture and our music. You may have, like I try to be. It means, people take my tweets out of context. I think I'm like hating, and I'm not, man. I'm trying to I want to move our people forward. Like it took this long where the UK was making careers out of making weddings. That only started for us like 5 years ago. Really, at the end of the day, UK has been making careers, like, the DJ road shows have been making bank for like 15, 20 years compared to what we are. So if I'm saying something out of like, that make it taken out of context, is because I want our people to flourish, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why do we have to be set in that mindset where this is okay and settle? That's where I found that I'm in this thing where like I'm talking to these kids and they're like, it's just ridiculous the shit they talk about. You know what I mean? Like the conversations are it's all gangster shit. And like, it's all like, so we went to Toronto for a wedding, right? It was a good friend of our wedding. We went there, and they're totally different there on the East Coast. Sure, they have the problems, but they're totally different. And one guy asked me, he's like, what's with you guys out there in Surrey Delta? Like, why? I'm like, bro, I'm like, literally every upper there thinks they're a gangster. Literally.
4 millionaires.
Yeah. And like, literally, it's like, why? I go, I don't know. I have no idea. Like, there's no really answer to it, but it's people like think, I'm exaggerating or whatever, but it's sad, bro. Like it's, I'm talking families that are well off, middle class, millionaires, doing dumb shit. Loki, there's gonna be these kids that do dumb shit regardless, right? But why is there a big attract? Like, we're always in the news every day here, man, as a community. That's the part that really bothers me. That fucking pisses me off. Since the 90s, our culture's been in the news pretty much like every other day for dumb shit. Like, we are the black people of Canada. That's how we get treated. No joke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's stupid. It shouldn't.
What do you mean? The more like kind of like victimization, stigmatization.
Of course, man. We walk down the street. like if we walk down the street, there's 4 or 5 of us up walking down the street. There's a Gora or couple walking, they'll cross the road. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
Here's the thing. Yeah, they should cross the road. That's the attitude you get here. Me, I'm like, that's sad and pathetic. Like, why do they fear us? Like that whole racism thing that we grew up on, you and I grew up on, you know, those days have changed. Like we all got to learn to work and live with each other. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we grew up, I was there in the riots in the 80s in the UK. Like I know what we went through, even here, but it's 2021. Like it's different now. You know, we're always going to have those people that, you know, gang shit and whatever, but it's sad, the mentality. And it just got to the point where, you know, I just, you know, being older, I just couldn't be in that environment anymore. It's not for me, man. It's a young man's game now. It's not for me. Like I want to be at home, enjoy my weekends, have the time with my kids, you know, work on my cars, work on like, you know, like I got free time now, which
yeah,
you know,
I see your cars. I need to change the subject, although I'm getting more and more depressed. I might just
sorry, man, my bad.
But no, it's all right. So like, oh man, I'm just gonna killed it. Thanks for that. This is called the Bandwagon. So you know, like I give an opportunity to all the guests, and you've heard the show before. Yep. So is there something that, and I'm guess you're probably one of the guests. I'm gonna guess that you've probably got a bandwagon that you want to jump on or jump off.
Bandwagon that I want to jump on. Ooh, that's a good one. Well, the bandwagon I want to jump off, that I think we should jump off, is this continued love for weapons in like videos that don't make sense. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know, like you get about Pyar and love, and you got like a Bonnie and Clyde thing going. Like that shit's played out culturally. Like I just tweeted today, like Karan Aujla's one of the biggest artists right now in the game. Album just produced by True School, phenomenal album. I don't know if you had a chance to heard it yet.
Yeah. I was I had a conversation with a previous guest.
Yeah.
You know, as I put time aside, you know, I'd left it for about a week or so, 2 weeks, you know.
Yeah.
And as I let it forward for me, I just love it.
Yeah. Great song, right?
You know what I mean? I just think I think it's grown on me. But yeah, it's great. I think it's good.
Great album. Just released a video for one of his songs today, and the video was just like, really? Totally. It's just I'll let you watch and you be the judge. But I think the bandwagon.
But do you think, like, not highlighting that video, but more in general, do you think there's the pressure not on the artists or the producers, not even on the directors, it's the label saying, look, this is what's happening, we want it done that way, we have to
I don't know, bro, because like India's very strict on what they allow to be played on their channels. Like, so like how many times have you seen like, oh, Ani La Sakte because of blah blah blah?
I don't watch it on there though. Like if you like
on YouTube, there's no restrictions there.
But that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, you know, like those music channels, they're not as popular as what they used to be. So it's just like wherever it comes, that's my point. Which is like
it sells, like, bro.
Yeah, we'll put it on there.
It sells,
and as CGI is getting better, video quality is getting better and better and better.
It sells, man. Guns are part of the psyche of the culture. It is what it is. It's been like that for years. You know, who hasn't sung about it? I mean, now it's easier to glorify, but is it right and wrong? I mean, that's a moral question. But look at
the artists like Sidhu's album and stuff. Like it was how big it was, and they could control the videos of what they want to put in there. They some of the artists are bigger than the labels. You know, this
especially
is what
independents.
This is what we do. Like the Karan, Sidhu, Gary Sandu, all of these people, they're becoming, what was it? You know, they're not business. They are business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jay-Z said it.
Yeah. You know, no, they're not. They're not business. I'm not a businessman.
I'm a businessman.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And that's the way they should treat themselves.
Edit that bit out.
No worries. But that's the way they should treat themselves, right? Because they're a walking business. So
I think the area that every artist messes up merchandise.
Don't get me started, man, with that. It pains me how much
I
money
used
they
to
leave
remember
them
when
to.
you used to say that ages ago.
I remember this tweet exactly. I should find it. I'm like, Punjabi artists need to get on TikTok. Bro, I got blasted. Blasted. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. TikTok's Mickey Mouse, right? You know how much money they generated for artists? Like something over like $500 million or something they paid out to artists. Ridiculous.
TikTok's
You
bigger than
can't tell me,
Instagram now, isn't it?
yeah, but you can't tell me, and this is what bothers me, man. This is what so millions of Punjabis around the world, yeah. Why hasn't been one TikTok viral Punjabi thing come out? A dance to a song or something.
I think
It's logically makes no sense to me.
no,
They'll
but
do like these other bullshit TikTok.
no, there has been ones like I don't know whether you get to see them over there. I don't know whether the algorithm works in that way, but like the Lember had one. Lember had his dance one that went around TikTok.
Yeah, I remember that one, but
Yeah,
that's the only one I can really recall.
yeah,
With.
no, in volume wise, no, I get your point. I'm just saying it's just like,
Yeah.
it's the art factor, and it's another platform.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm only saying that because I don't do it.
No, but it's okay though. It's not for everybody. But if you're a big A-list artist, like you got to be on there. You have to be, because that's where music is being watched. Like YouTube for the first time last year for short video lost out to TikTok. Like I think it was like whatever 2.5 minutes less. So they're losing ground. And what's the capacity of someone watching a videos? Like maybe 5 minutes max, right? So they're losing a big chunk of share to TikTok. I like talking about stuff like this because this is kind of stuff like, you know in depth of what you talk about. And I find that stuff fascinating when you put up charts and you put up data, because I've lived in that world where that you talk about. Like I'm physically seeing drug addicts dancing on the dance floor to my records. You know what I mean?
Do you think that like one of the things is like trying to professionalize the industry the way it is that like, you know, where you think about in the mainstream, there's actually teams like Diljit's probably like a good, like I know some of the team behind him and how much they go into depth. It's like an operation, how they operate, you know, how they work. But you've got other artists who've got a massive presence, but just generally they've got no one around. The circle is very, 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 very small.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like Diljit's a great artist. Don't get me wrong. Okay, like I'm not putting his talent. I'm not saying anything about his talent and what he can do. His team made him a fucking superstar. Like I'm talking like Michael Jackson big. His team did that. Let's be real here, right? Like globally,
but like
I mean, his talent he's unreal. Don't get me wrong, but with his team, he went another level because they gave him a reach that he couldn't do by himself. You understand what I'm saying? Like
true, but what comes with that is a work ethic around it.
100%.
So like, he'll, I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but this is when I you speak with some of his team and stuff. Like he'll get up early, 7 a.m. training, doing all this, keeping it as a job, doing med, keeping it, learning, watching everybody, doing everything. And so he's dedicated it from that. And I think the combination of that with the team in there has made him into to do that.
That's all I'm saying. He was a big star. Okay. He's a big star. I get that. But when he went next level, I'm talking selling out arenas and his presence on social media where he's gotten global reach. Like even like, you know, non-Asian people know who he is now, right? That was his team doing that because they gave him that reach. You see what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
So
but that comes that's part of the whole brand, isn't it? That's just branding.
That's the thing.
Isn't it?
But his team's handling his branding. Yeah, he's getting up in the morning, but I'm sure he's getting input from, okay, you need to do this, you should do that, you should do this. He ultimately makes the decision. I totally get that. But without that team effort, maintaining who he is, like he would just stay at a certain point. Like now he's got endless like you can't tell me he's got a team bringing in brand deals. Hey bro, Coke just called and said, hey, you want to do this? He'll be like, nah, maybe. You know what I mean? Team's going to do that. So I tell everybody, like, don't hire your best friend as your manager if you're making money. Hire a marketing manager, or even take Gold Media at the end of the day. Whatever. Like, at least they'll get you somewhere. They'll get you reach. They'll get you, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta treat yourself as a business at some point. I mean, shit's from the start. Like, everyone's got a budget, I get it. There's money involved. You know, I got a video bronia, but still, that doesn't mean you can't focus on the little. Like I tell every artist, I mean, it was like, you know, how are we gonna do this? I go, bro, you have to release the best music you possibly can with the budget that you have. That's all you can do. The rest is all the, you know, the kismet di galan, right?
Yeah, God sent.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna call it.
Yeah.
At that point, I would like to just really thank you. I'm sure this is going to end up being a bit of a series in terms of where we do this chat quite regularly.
I love that, bro.
I that, yeah.
I love that. I love chat. I love talking just stuff with you because it's cool, you know, and you got the platform for it. And then, like I said, we need, you know, more people need more chats like this because
options. I think that's it. People need options. Yeah. No, but no, I appreciate it, and we'll catch up soon, bro.
100%, bro.
Thanks.